Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to show how to perform a simulation in Excel of a probability experiment where we're selecting items without repetition. The scenario I'm imagining here is I have gone to the pet store and I've got 4 different types of pets I could choose: a dog, a cat, a fish or a bird, just numbered there for the sequentially, and I'm going to be allowed to pick any 2, but they have to be different. So if I pick a dog first, then I have to select one of those 3. And I want to be able to do this randomly so that I can simulate a large number of experiments. The way we do this in Excel, there's no simple formula, we have to do a bit of messing around, is we start with some random numbers. So the formula is RAND, open close brackets, and those 4 cells there all have exactly the same formula. They produce 4 different random numbers. I need to have a list of these numbers across here, the same numbers, but written in order from smallest to largest. The Excel formula to do this is called small. Now it says here we need an array. That's that group of cells there. When I copy this formula across to the right, I don't want these cell references to update to the right. I want them to stay fixed here in column F, G, H and I. So I'll need dollar signs in front of the letters. In the future, when I copy this formula downwards, I would want the numbers for the row 6 to update downwards to row 7. So I don't want dollars in front of the numbers. I can cycle through with the F4 key. That's the one I need. The dollar signs, the fixed references, are on the columns only. Now I need a constant value K, and this, because there are 4 items in the list, will range from 1, 2, 3 or 4. In the first place, I want the first item, the lowest item. I could just type the number 1 and then close the brackets, but that's not very nice. The next formula would need me to type a number 2 and so on. I'd much rather reference the number 1 sitting above here. When I copy the formula across to the right, I want that reference to update from column K to column L. I do not want dollar signs in front of the letter this time. And again, copy to there to there. I'd want it column M, column N. When I copy this formula downwards to repeat the experiment, I would not want that reference to suddenly move down to row 3 with the word dog. So in this case, I will need dollar signs in front of the 2 for the row to be fixed, but not the columns. I'll close off that formula, and that's the smallest number in the list, the first one in the list. If I copy that across, now don't worry about them changing. Every time you recalculate the spreadsheet, the random numbers update. So is this the smallest in the list? Yes. Is this one the second smallest? Even though it was in the 4th place, it's the second smallest, then the 3rd smallest, then the largest, the 4th smallest. Those are working nicely. I should be able to copy those down a few rows and everything's still going okay. These 4 numbers here are the same random numbers that were here, but ordered from the lowest one to the second lowest one to the 3rd lowest one to the 4th lowest one. There they are. Now how do I use these random numbers and then the random numbers written in order to make some selections? I use a function over here called match. I need a lookup value. I will look up the random number 0.743. And what will I look it up in? I will look it up in an array, and the array will be this array here. Now where is that number in the list? It's the 4th one in the list. When I close the brackets, and of course it just updated when I recalculated. Let's look again. I looked at this number here, 0.239. Where is it in the list? It's the first one in the list. That's why it reported the number 1. If I press the F9 key to recalculate, this number here is 0.505. It is the largest one. It's the 4th one in that list. That's why it reported the number 4. I should be able to copy those down, and I'm getting a mistake there because I went too far. And I'm getting the first item I select will be item 3. Now what about the second item I select? Well, I'll use the match function again. This time I will look up the second random number in the array once they were ordered. Now the second random number will be different to the first one. There is no possibility that the first and the second random number will be the same, which means they're guaranteed to be in different places across in this list. That way I won't be getting a duplicate. None of these are duplicates. So I'm selecting the third item, a fish, then I'm selecting the second item, a cat. It would be much nicer if it actually had the word fish and cat rather than the numbers. We can do that. We can fix that. I can use a lookup function. Let's give myself a bit of space to type. H lookup. Horizontal lookup. Now this, remember, is a number. That's all I need it to be for this function to work. Then I need a table that I'm looking them up from. I'll be looking them up from that table there. And I will not want any of those references on the table to update, either rows or columns. I'll have $signs on both. And then I need to say, I'm selecting the number from the top? Yes. Am I returning the value from the second row of the table? That's why I need a number 2 there at the end of that formula. So the first number, 0.195, it's the first one in the list, and the first one in the list is a dog. So my first selection was a dog. Let's do the same here with this one. H, lookup, H for horizontal. That formula gives me a number between 1 and 4. I'm selecting from this array. I don't want any of the rows or columns to update, and I want to return the value in the second row of that table. So my first experiment, my first trip to the pet store, if you like, I randomly was allowed to select 2 animals. I chose a fish and a dog. I wasn't allowed to repeat. If I copy them down, there they are. Each one would be different.